So the end of chapter 1 is a really brief introduction to the periodic table. You'll always have a periodic table available for your tests. I'm not going to ask you to memorize it. It would be a really good idea if you knew elements numbers 1 through 36, names, symbols, and relative positions on the periodic table. This is simply because it's going to make taking any kind of test all year a lot faster. You'll be able to find these elements that we talk about quite frequently in a manner which is going to save you a whole bunch of time. Okay, so the elements on the periodic table are broken down into 3 major categories: metals, metalloids, and nonmetals. And the first thing we're going to do is talk about their properties. Metals, metalloids, and nonmetals. Metals are what are known as malleable. Malleable means you can pound them into a shape. Paul Revere could make spoons and bowls out of silver because silver was malleable. Nonmetals are the opposite. Nonmetals tend to be brittle. If you pound on a nonmetal, it is going to shatter. Metalloids are kind of in between, but mostly they're brittle as well. Metals are also known for being ductile. D-U-C-T-I-L-E, ductile. That means they can be drawn into a wire. Okay, they can be stretched out and made to be thin. Nonmetals are not ductile. It's because they're brittle. Non-ductile. If you look at the states of metals at room temperature, most are solids. There are only 2 metals which are, well, there's one metal which is a liquid, and there's one metal which is almost a liquid. If you hold it in your hand, it will melt. So mercury is the only metal you're going to come across which is not a solid. Metalloids are all solids, and nonmetals can be solid, liquid, or gas. Any of the 3 states of matter: solid, liquid, or gas. Metals conduct heat and electricity. That's why you find copper wiring going from the plug to your lamp in your bedroom. Copper conducts electricity rather well. Pans are made of metal because they conduct heat very well. Nonmetals are non-conductors. When we're talking about electricity, they're called insulators because they're going to protect your hand from electricity. Metalloids are in between. They are called semiconductors. You might have heard the term semiconductor used in reference to a computer chip. That's why metalloids make computer chips. They conduct electricity, but not quite as well as the metals do. Okay, so here I have a blank periodic table, and you should know some basic areas on this. Everything over here, there's some lines I drew here that you can barely see. You have this same blank periodic table in Schoology that you can draw on if you want to. The metals are over here, with the exception of hydrogen, which is a nonmetal. It's the only nonmetal. It kind of belongs over here. Down here, we also have metals. Over here, we have the nonmetals. And guess what this group is? It's the metalloids. You do not need to memorize the metalloids. I always have to look up exactly where they are anyway. But you should know it's a diagonal stair-step region that connects the metals to the nonmetals. there are 3 groups that you should at least know the names of. The periodic table has 18 groups going across. Groups or families. Things in any particular vertical column or family resemble one another. Okay, so these guys going down, the rows going down, are groups. If they are going across, they are called periods. So, 4 groups you should know. Number 1, they're called the alkali metals. Alkali metals. Group 2 are called the alkaline earth metals. This whole group down here, 3 through 12, are called the transition elements or the transition metals. Okay, so you should know group 1, alkali metals, group 2, alkaline earth metals, 3 through 12, it's this whole big group in here are the transition metals. They all behave alike. Over here we have group 18, which are the noble gases. They don't react with anything. And over here, group 17 are called the halogens. The word halogen means salt former. So the halogens react with group 1 to make salts. So you need to know these basic areas of the periodic table, where these 4 particular groups are, and that the metalloids form a stair-step region going down.